Who was the best draft pick in Atlanta Falcons history? Atlanta has had loads of talent come through the organization in its nearly 60-year history. But if we had to focus on players we acquired specifically in the draft, who could we say gave us the best draft value? Players that met or exceeded expectations, elevated the team to new heights, and undoubtedly put us in positions to win. In this video, we're going to look at the 10 players I think are the best draft picks in Falcons history, looking at their draft value, their influence on the team and city, how much it cost us to get them, and how they performed in the black and red. I'm sure you may not agree 100% with my list, so let me know in the comments who you think Atlanta's greatest draft pick was, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Number 10, running back William Andrews. We drafted Andrews 79th overall in 1979 out of Auburn, and although he had a fairly short career that was unfortunately ended by a knee injury, I'd argue we got a lot out of him. In his first year in Atlanta, he rushed for 1,023 yards and 3 touchdowns and was named to the PFWA All-Rookie team. He leveled up the following year, rushing for 1,308 yards and 4 touchdowns, snagging his first of 4 Pro Bowl selections, but it was in 1981 when he really began to shine. Rushing for 1,301 yards, he put up 10 rushing touchdowns, but also accumulated 735 receiving yards with an additional 2 touchdowns. He was a second-team All-Pro and once again selected to the Pro Bowl. His rushing efficiency declined a bit in 1982, but in 1983 he rushed for a career-high 1,567 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 609 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. For a third-round pick, that is phenomenal value, and William Andrews undoubtedly goes down in history as one of our best draft picks. Tight end Algie Crumbler. Crumbler was drafted 35th overall in the 2001 NFL Draft and was the first Falcons jersey me and my brother ever owned. He played in Atlanta for 7 seasons and was one of the most efficient tight ends in Falcons history. He had 4,212 receiving yards and 35 touchdowns, with a career high in 2005 with 877 receiving yards. Crumbler played in Atlanta during a time where we weren't winning consistently, but was undoubtedly a bright spot on the team. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler and is easily one of the Falcons' best draft picks of all time. Number 8, linebacker Keith Brooking. Brooking was drafted 12th overall in 1998 out of Georgia Tech. To this day, he has the most career tackles in Tech history with a total of 467. He also tied for 4th in single game tackles with 20 total in a 1995 game against Clemson. When you draft a player in the first round, you expect them to elevate the team, and that's exactly what Keith Brooking did in his 11-year career in Atlanta. He's the Falcons' all-time leader in tackles with 766 total and received 5 consecutive Pro Bowl selections. Brooking was the cornerstone of Atlanta's defense and gave us exactly what we needed to succeed. Number 7, wide receiver Roddy White. Falcons legend Roddy White was drafted 27th overall in the 2005 NFL Draft and is arguably one of the greatest Falcons of all time. He played college football at the best school in the state of Alabama Birmingham, of course, and had 163 receptions for 3,112 yards and 26 touchdowns. In Atlanta, White was a workhorse. The prime of his career was between 2007 and 2012, where he put up 7,773 receiving yards on 563 receptions and 49 touchdowns. In 2010, he led the league in receptions with 115 and was a first-team All-Pro. Over the course of his career, he was selected to the Pro Bowl 4 times and currently holds franchise records for most receiving yards in a half, most receiving touchdowns in a career, most career starts for a wide receiver, most games played as a wide receiver, and most receptions in a playoff game, tied with Julio Jones. You can't talk about the Falcons without mentioning Roddy White, and he's no doubt one of our greatest draft picks. Number 6, tight end Tony Gonzalez. Okay, I'm aware we didn't technically draft Tony Gonzalez, but we did give up a 2nd-round pick in 2010 for him, so I'm going to count it, and I don't care. I also just kind of want to talk about Tony Gonzalez. His 12-year career in Kansas City made him one of the greatest tight ends to ever play in the NFL, and although he only played 5 seasons in Atlanta, his production never really declined. He had 4,187 receiving yards and 35 touchdowns on 409 receptions. Because I'm technically cheating, I won't dive too far in, but as far as draft value goes, I think we got quite a bit out of that 2nd-round pick. Number 5, defensive tackle Grady Jarrett. Atlanta drafted Grady Jarrett 137th overall in the 2015 NFL Draft out of Clemson. What makes this pick so impressive is the average career span of players in his position being drafted in later rounds. According to the NCAA, defensive tackles drafted in the 5th round have an average career span of 47.72 games, which is just under 3 full seasons. Grady Jarrett managed to be a high-impact player for nearly 8 seasons. He recorded 496 combined tackles, 267 solo tackles, and 36.5 sacks. He played in 152 games and started in 137 of those. In 2019, he was a second-team All-Pro and has been selected to the Pro Bowl twice. This is where context is important because I'm not saying Grady Jarrett is a better player than the ones I've mentioned before. What I am saying is we got a lot of value out of a 5th-round pick, which usually doesn't produce franchise players. Jarrett is confidently one of our best draft picks, and I wish him the best in Chicago. Number 4, quarterback Michael Vick. We drafted Michael Vick 1st overall in 2001 out of Virginia Tech, trading our 1st and 3rd picks with the San Diego Chargers. Vick started 2 seasons at Virginia Tech, and although he's a decent passer, it was his legs and overall athleticism that made him a top pick. He played in Atlanta for 6 seasons, recording 11,505 passing yards, 71 passing touchdowns, 3,859 rushing yards, and 21 rushing touchdowns. He played in 74 games and started in 67 of them and was selected to 3 Pro Bowls. Unfortunately, his time in Atlanta was cut short, and we all know why, but Vick was on pace to be the franchise guy. Atlanta had only 4 winning seasons from 1980 to 2000, and once Vick was drafted in 2001, he managed to lead Atlanta to 2 playoff appearances. He made a huge difference in the culture of the team, and every day I wonder where we would have ended up had he never been suspended. Nonetheless, we can't deny how great of a draft pick this was. Number 3, cornerback Deion Sanders. Coach Prime was drafted 5th overall in 1989 out of Florida State. His 5 years in Atlanta were perhaps some of the most exciting in team history. He recorded 24 interceptions, 3 of those returned for touchdowns, 2 punt returns for touchdowns, and 3 kick returns for touchdowns. He even made appearances on the offensive side of the ball and had a pair of receiving touchdowns in 1992 and 1993. There was really nothing Deion Sanders couldn't do. Although his best years probably came with the Cowboys, his time in Atlanta led him to being a 2-time first-team All-Pro, a second-team All-Pro, a 3-time Pro Bowler, and the 1992 NFL kickoff return leader. I don't know how we replicate this kind of draft value, but it's something we desperately need right now. Number 2, quarterback Matt Ryan. It's not easy finding a franchise quarterback, but when you do, you gotta hold on to him. We drafted Ryan 3rd overall in 2008 out of Boston College, and man, did we get exactly what we needed out of him. I made a video a few weeks back about the impact Matt Ryan had on the Falcons organization, so if you want a super deep dive, go watch that video. But as far as his draft value goes, here's a fun stat. The Falcons have made the playoffs 14 times since their inception in 1966. Matt Ryan made the playoffs 6 times in his career. Statistically speaking, 42% of the Falcons' playoff appearances happened with Matt Ryan under center. For a franchise that is not known for winning, that's an incredible stat and shows just how valuable Matt Ryan was to our franchise. Number 1, wide receiver Julio Jones. And finally, the player I consider to be the best Falcons draft pick of all time, Julio Jones. Atlanta drafted Julio 6th overall in 2011, trading 5 total draft picks to the Cleveland Browns. I have another video about Julio Jones I posted pretty recently, but since we're talking about draft value, let's look at who Cleveland took with those picks and compare. In 2011, the Browns traded their 27th pick, which became a 26th, to the Chiefs, and they drafted wide receiver Jonathan Baldwin. The Browns then selected wide receiver Greg Little and fullback Owen Marisick with the picks we gave them. In 2012, the Browns selected quarterback Brandon Weeden, then traded the 4th-round pick to the Vikings, who selected wide receiver Jarius Wright. Baldwin only played 3 seasons in the NFL and recorded 2 touchdowns. Greg Little played 5 seasons and recorded 8 touchdowns. Owen Marisick played 3 seasons and recorded 8 rushing yards. Weeden played 7 seasons total and threw for 6,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions. And Jarius Wright played 8 seasons and recorded 11 touchdowns. Obviously, this isn't a black and white comparison because there's no telling who Atlanta would have selected had they not traded up, but just as far as value goes, Atlanta won that trade by a mile. Julio is arguably one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game and owns several NFL and franchise records. He was a 2-time first-team All-Pro, a 3-time second-team All-Pro, a 7-time Pro Bowler, and led the NFL in receiving yards twice. This is draft value, and I'd say Julio is the greatest draft pick in Falcons history. Let me know in the comments if I missed any major players and if you agree or disagree with my list. If you're a fan of the Atlanta Falcons, check out some of the other videos on my channel as I make commentary videos on all things Atlanta Falcons. Thanks for watching, rise up, and I'll see you in the next video.